A new analysis by Nate Silver of 538, whose 2016 projections were a lot closer than most, shows that Biden could win by an even larger popular vote margin than Hillary Clinton in 2016 and still lose to President Trump in 2020. Because we have a totally normal, functioning electoral system that reverses the will of the majority of Americans multiple times in this democracy. Awesome. If Biden only ekes out a popular vote victory with less than 1%, he only has a 6% chance of winning because of the Electoral College. 1 to 2 points, 22%. Trump still has a better chance of winning even if Biden wins the popular vote by 2 to 3 points. 46% chance of Biden winning in that scenario. Biden has to win the popular vote by 3 to 4 points to have a better chance than Trump. And even then, it's only 74%. Winning the popular vote by 4 to 5 points is when it starts to get more comfortable. For context, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by around 3 million votes and thus a 2.1% margin. That puts her victory in the 46% range. So Biden needs not just to win, but to win by a significant margin in the popular vote if we want to take this maniac out of office. Silver did add that if Biden wins by 2 to 3 points, the Electoral College is a toss-up, not necessarily a Trump win. On the other hand, the Electoral College is not really safe for Biden unless he wins by 5+ points. What a great time to have such a faulty electoral system when we have a wannabe fascist in office and our democracy is at stake and the country is fraying and falling apart by the seams, and we have tens of millions of Americans unemployed, an eviction crisis, a pandemic that's killed 186,000 Americans and counting, and more. Racial crises, black people being murdered in the streets by cops. I mean, we need a functioning system and structures more than ever before. I mean, we saw what happened when the Electoral College failed us, not just in 2016, but in 2000, where Bush got into office and he started an illegal war and killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis and many American soldiers. The stakes are incredibly high. And when you read even more about the system of the Electoral College and just lay the basic facts out, it gets even more infuriating. While the number of electoral votes a state is assigned somewhat reflects its population, the minimum of 3 votes per state means that the relative value of electoral votes varies across America. The least populous states like North and South Dakota and the smaller states of New England are overrepresented because of the required minimum of 3 electoral votes. Meanwhile, the states with the most people, California, Texas, and Florida, are underrepresented in the Electoral College. Wyoming has 1 Electoral College vote for every 193,000 people, compared with California's rate of 1 electoral vote per 718,000 people. This means that each electoral vote in California represents 3 times as many people as one in Wyoming. At the moment, the Electoral College favors Republicans because of the way Republican votes are distributed across the country. They are more likely to occur in states that are closely divided between the parties. Under the winner-takes-all system, the margin of victory in the state becomes irrelevant. In 2016, Clinton's substantial margins in states such as California and New York failed to earn her enough electoral votes, while close races in the battleground states of Pennsylvania and Michigan took Trump over the 270 majority. As candidates easily win the electoral votes of their solid states, the election plays out in a handful of key battlegrounds. In 2016, Trump won such states: Florida, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, adding 99 electoral votes to his total. The demographics of those states differ from the national average. They are older, have more white voters without college degrees, and often have smaller non-white populations. These characteristics generally favor Republicans and made up the base of Trump's votes in 2016. For example, 67% of non-college educated white people voted for Trump in 2016. In all swing states, this demographic is overrepresented by at least 6 percentage points more than the national average. So that was a British article. I'm sure if you're American, you're familiar with a lot of those facts, but when I read that, to see it just laid out the way it was there, it was infuriating. And the idea that we can say we're the greatest country in the world, oh, America, our democracy, when we don't have a democracy in the most public, most high-profile election in the country, the presidency. So it's laughable to claim that we're the greatest country in the world when every metric in terms of happiness, quality of life, healthcare, you name it, it doesn't suggest that. I think the principles of the founding are arguably the greatest in the world, and the Electoral College and its outcome directly contradicts what was laid out in the founding documents.